Hello everybody, how are you? Yesterday we celebrated the 5th Sunday of Lent and the gospel is all about Martha and Mary and a man called Lazarus who Jesus brings back to life. It's quite appropriate for now, isn't it, with everything going on in the outside world. Let's have a look.
Jesus was good friends with a man called Lazarus and his two sisters, Mary and Martha. Jesus stayed at their house in Judea for a few days, where they shared what they had with him. After Jesus left their home, Lazarus became seriously ill, and it didn't look like he was going to get better. Mary and Martha knew that Jesus could heal their brother Lazarus. They decided to send someone to find Jesus and ask for his help. When Jesus received their message, he said, "This sickness will end not in death, but in God's glory, and through it the Son of God will be glorified." Jesus loved Mary, Martha, and Lazarus very much. You would think that he would have rushed off to help immediately. But God had greater plans. So Jesus stayed where he was until the time was right. 2 days later, he told his disciples, "Let's go to Judea again." So they set off on the long journey. By the time they arrived, Lazarus had died and had been in the tomb for 4 days. Martha ran out to meet Jesus and said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Jesus said to Martha, "Your brother will rise again." With tears falling down her cheeks, Martha said, "I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day." But Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even if he dies, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die." When Mary came to Jesus, she fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." She cried. When Jesus saw her weeping, he was deeply moved. Jesus wept. At Lazarus' tomb, Jesus asked that the stone be rolled away. Then he raised his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I know that you always hear me, but because of the people standing around, I said it so that they may believe that you sent me." When he had said this, he cried out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, here, come out." The dead man came out, his feet and hands bound with bands of stuff and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, "Unbind him, let him go free." Many of the Jews who had come to comfort Mary and Martha because of the death of their brother were now rejoicing with them that Lazarus was alive. Lots of them believed in Jesus.
So in this story, we can hear that Martha and Mary didn't know what to do. They had no idea what to do, but what they did know is that they trusted in Jesus. So they prayed. They prayed with Jesus and they asked him for things. And we know, as members of St. Gregory's, we can do that too. So at the moment, things are a little bit strange in the world, aren't they? It feels a bit weird. We're at home instead of being at school. Parents are at home when usually they're at work. Some parents are working harder than they've ever worked before and they're not allowed to spend very much time with us. Lots of things feel really odd. So when we're just feeling a little bit strange, perhaps we could think about what we could do. And just like Martha and Mary, we too can pray and we can ask Jesus for things. So I'm going to give you 2 jobs to do this week. When you're praying, remember to pray each evening, or perhaps at the start of the day, maybe both if it makes you feel better. And ask Jesus for things. Ask him to keep people who are sick safe. Ask him to help our parents with trying to juggle working and schooling and everything else. But don't forget to thank him for things too, okay? So just like last week, we were looking for all of the little hopeful things around. Because we put our trust in Jesus, we also need to make sure we thank him for things. So one of the things I want you to do is at the end of each day, I want you to have a little think about something that you're really grateful for, something that you're glad that happened that day. It might be something that happens every day, but it could be something that's happened especially because of the strange times we're in at the moment. And I'd like you to write it or draw a little picture of it in your home learning book. Now, you might even get the adults in your house to help too. And they might like to write down something that they're really grateful for that day, because that helps us to all stay hopeful, even when it all feels a little bit strange. The other thing I'd like you to do is to take our gospel in action outside of our homes. And when you're going out on your daily exercise, I'd like you to think about the people that you're passing. Make sure you pass them at distance, because that's what Mr. Boris Johnson has asked us to do. But what I'd like you to do is to just shout over to them, because you're with your parent. All of you could shout together, "Good morning" or "Good afternoon," because sometimes when people are having a bad day, they need to know that they can also trust in God. And by doing these little tiny things that make those people hopeful, hopefully they'll know that, like we know that we've always got God with us, they might not know that. They might think, "I'm a bit lonely at the moment." And by saying good morning or good afternoon as we pass them, you might be the only person that they see that day. People are a little bit lonely at the moment, and perhaps you could be the hope that they have, and they can realise that they're not on their own either, and that there are people who care about them and love them too. So that's your 2 jobs, okay? One thing each day that you're grateful for, and jot it into your book. And also make sure that with your family, because we never talk to strangers on our own, you say good morning or good afternoon when you're passing people on your exercise. Thanks very much, St. Gregory's. I'm going to read you a story one night this week. I'll let you know on Twitter. Good night. God bless.